President Trump beginning his first week in office with a flurry of executive orders, including withdrawing from the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal. The move fulfilling a promise Mr. Trump made during the campaign. Joining us now to discuss it, Democratic Congressman Keith Ellison of Minnesota. He is the co-chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus and a candidate for the DNC chair. Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning.
So, you didn't like TPP. Are you pleased with how swiftly Mr. Trump moved on it?
Well, I'm pleased that the American people over the course of years raised up the problems with TPP, and I'm glad that their voices got heard, even if it was by somebody who cynically manipulated the issue for their own political advantage. I mean, at the end of the day, though, we need a new trade model. We need a trade model that ends deferral, which is a tax provision that allows companies to keep profits offshore and not bring them back into the country. We need a trade policy that invests in American jobs and put American workers first. So that's really where we have to go from here.
Yeah, but these are the things that President Trump is saying. Why don't you give him credit for ending TPP?
I give him credit for being a reader of the political tea leaves. But look what else he did. He also reestablished the global gag rule, which is something very bad. One of the leading causes of poverty for women around the world is the inability to space their children, the inability to plan their families, and he got rid of that, which is very damaging.
And
also the federal hiring freeze is another bad thing, too.
I do want to ask you about those, Congressman, but just 1 second. I mean, where you find points of agreement, why not give him credit for those things?
Because, I think because it's the people who raised their voices over the course of years that brought about this policy. I want to give the people credit. That's what I believe in doing.
I understand, but as you know, the way it works, the president who is in office at the time that it happens gets the credit.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that in a democracy, it's the people who get the credit, and the people drove this policy change to the point where now we're not going to have to deal with the Trans-Pacific Partnership. But what are we going to have to deal with next? We still going to have some kind of a policy. And this is still a person who, as a business person, brought in ties, suits, and a whole bunch of other stuff by using foreign low-wage labor. So, I guess that's one of the reasons why I'm not fully persuaded that this is a cause for rejoicing. Mr. Trump does have a history of exploiting low-cost foreign labor in order to sell his goods, and also as you brought foreign workers into the United States to run his resort.
So you don't believe him when he says that he is for American workers, as he said during the campaign and as he has reiterated since taking office. You don't believe that?
Here's what I believe. I believe that the workers in Atlantic City who were mistreated by him, I believe them. I believe the workers in Las Vegas who say they were not treated properly by Donald Trump. That's who I believe. Now, I think this president, given his background, needs to do a little bit more proving before you make a believer out of me.
Okay, so if you're not going to give him credit for withdrawing from TPP, then how can you criticize him for then his executive order on the so-called Mexico City plan, the gag rule that you addressed?
Because I disagree with it. Because I think that it's a bad policy, and I think that the right policy was to leave President Obama's rescission of that policy in place.
Right. So
I don't think it's the right policy.
Criticize him. Just to be clear, you will criticize him for the policies that you disagree with, but you will never give him credit for those that you agree with.
No, you used the word never. Okay. That wasn't me.
You're right. Not give him credit.
What I'm doing is relying on his background that he brings into office. What I'm doing is relying on the fact that I was in untold number of meetings raising questions and concerns about the Trans-Pacific Partnership over the course of the last several years. And I know people were very concerned about our trade policy, and we're writing letters to Congress. We're having meetings on the Hill, and we're doing all kinds of things because they were concerned about our trade policy. That's what that's what I think is critical to focus on.
Okay, now I just want to I do want to move on to the Mexico City gag rule that you talked about, because this is baffling. Why not allow NGOs to be able to discuss family planning with women? As I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, they can't even discuss contraception.
Well, I think it's a very damaging policy. I think it's ideologically driven by some people's religious beliefs, and I don't think it's right to impose that as U.S. policy. And I think that it's actually pretty damaging when you consider, how so many women around the world and so many people are relegated to poverty because women do not have the capacity and the ability to make choices around family planning. And so I think it's really a disastrous policy, and I'm sorry that it happened.
I want to ask you about this meeting.